Hi, I'm Leanne Ely. I'm a nutritionist, a New York Times best-selling author, and some people even say I'm a life coach. I started the Daily Dish Show to share my story, my truth, and my journey to vibrancy, and to inspire others to do the same. Because it's all about grit, perseverance, and finding a way despite the odds. It's about embracing the whole woman, not just the parts that are easy to love, and feeding her heart, mind, body, and soul. But I found that this isn't just my story, it's your story too. It's go time. This is the Daily Dish. Let me just say this. Today's show is a game changer if you get your feelings hurt. Anybody here, pinkies up if you get your feelings hurt? I mean, can we talk about that? Hey there, Amber, over here. I got Amber over here on this side. Listen, we need to take a look at this because there's something behind and underneath having your feelings hurt. And I'm telling you, you're going to have your life changed if you listen to what's in here and put it into action. I know I did. So let's get down to brass tacks because there's some good stuff here. Because I know you all, do you ever wonder about your hurt feelings? Do you ever wonder, oh, it's just me. I'm just oversensitive, or I'm a mess. I'm just out there. Anybody ever say that about yourself? Maybe you say, oh, I just don't get it. Catherine's got her pinkies going crazy. Of course. Vanessa in the house. Autumn too. Yay. Good to have you here. Lovely, lovely, lovely. I'm telling you, we all feel it. We all have been there before. And why is it that we question our hurt feelings? Well, I've got some stuff for you that's going to help you out a ton. So here's the deal. When we get our feelings hurt, there's an area in our brain that's responsible for our pain. Okay? Get this. It's activated. Oh, thank you, Mama. She's going to, you're over here and over there. My goodness, she's listening to me in stereo. That's so funny. Thank you so much. But here's the deal. Isn't this the truth though? Isn't this the truth? There's an area of our brain that gets activated when we feel pain. So if you stub your toe, there's an area in your brain that gets activated. That same area gets activated when you get your feelings hurt. Did you know that? Isn't that interesting? Our brain is so amazing. Complex in some ways and pretty basic and almost primitive in other ways. So several things happen when our feelings get hurt. Okay, so here's the things that we need to look at. First of all, chemical reaction. We've been talking about this all week and how our emotions and our feelings can positively or negatively impact the chemical reactions in our bodies. They can do things to either make us feel better or even feel worse, even relive something we don't necessarily want to relive. And the other thing that's interesting about that is that because of this painful response, that researchers have found that you could even take like Advil to relieve hurt feelings. Now, I say no to that. I mean, that's just, to me, that's ridiculous because these non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs are drugs, and 35,000 people a year die from overdosing on just Tylenol, not all the other stuff, just Tylenol. So let's look at something. What is anti-inflammatory? What anti-inflammatory can we do even with hurt feelings? I will tell you right now because I've done it. Inflacrusher. Inflacrusher to the rescue because that pain area is reacting to inflammation. Okay, cool. Then let's deal with it. Go get yourself a little Inflacrusher and take care of business. Why not? Tracy's head just exploded. Hi, Tracy, Christina. Good to have you here. I'm glad you're all here. So, wow, interesting, huh? Can you imagine? I think that's so fantastic. So research also suggests that hurt feelings, in particular, people's perception of them, is how our hurt feelings become hurt feelings. In other words, something might hurt you, and I'll say to you, well, your feelings shouldn't be hurt because my perception is different than yours. But that doesn't stop that perception of, you know, it doesn't stop that whole thing, does it? And that's what I want to say, is that we have to be honoring of one another's hurt feelings and work through it. I mean, that's how we get ourselves to the place of healing, is working through these hurt feelings. But very often it's a matter of perception. So perception is the driver for these hurt feelings. But psychologists say that women, more than men, have a tendency to get hurt feelings, and more intent hurt feelings as well. Really strong stuff. True. So how do we deal with our hurt feelings mostly? You know, we learned from the best, haven't we? We've learned for the best. How do we apologize for saying something that hurt someone when we didn't mean to? Oh, you know what? We're going to talk about that, Mama. Yeah, that's a really good question. Because right here, right, what we usually do with our hurt feelings is we stuff it, don't we? And anyone notice that we just stuff those hurt feelings? And hurt feelings often shift our perception, and that's dishonest in the long run, because those hurt feelings then go unaddressed. Now, for someone, if you hurt someone's feelings, right, and they said, you know, that just really hurt my feelings, you don't argue with them if it should or should not have hurt their feelings. You just say to them, just with as much love and care as you possibly can, that it absolutely was not my intention, and I apologize profusely for hurting your feelings. That's the loving thing to do, because you take responsibility for your words, but you also acknowledge the fact that it was not an intention. And that's all you can do. Now, if they don't choose to forgive you, that's on them, you know, and then they've got their own garbage to deal with and what have you. But that's the best that we can possibly do. So the proper response sometimes to hurt feelings is buckle up, y'all. This is going to blow you away. You know what the proper response sometimes is? Anger. Anger. You heard me, anger. So here's the deal. And I'm speaking to women here because, you know, I'm talking from my own skin, and I happen to be a woman. And that's this, that we are unfamiliar with anger that is constructive for the most part. Our type of anger, usually with a lot of women, because we've stuffed our feelings for so long, is we go into a simmering whatever, and we put it underneath everything, and then all of a sudden, up it goes, right? Have you noticed that? I've certainly noticed that. That volcanic emotion isn't helpful. That volcanic emotion is basically unprocessed feelings. That's what that is. And what that needs to be is processed and looked at. And we talked about that yesterday, how important it is that we process our emotions. We take a minute if we need to, so that we don't end up, good grief, get out of my face. So we don't end up in a place where we just, you know, stuff it again and end up blowing up again. That's just crazy. Psychologist Emily Raphael says, we are in hiding. We don't know who we are when we do this. And it's true. We don't know who we are. We have this sudden surge of anger to deal with. We have this whole thing that's been going on. It is the straw that breaks the camel's back. It is all the things. So we have to learn how to be constructively angry. And that's the ticket. And that also is emotionally maturity and emotional intelligence. Hello, girls. Vanessa's girls are listening. I love it. It's so sweet. So here's the deal. If we express our anger appropriately, that means we stop trying so hard, and instead we start to speak what's on our minds in a way, of course, that's constructive, and using the guidelines that we talked about yesterday. That was really important, those guidelines on how to get this stuff out so that we can really deal with it. So there's more on that if you want to look at today's show notes. Were from yesterday's show if you haven't gotten them. So all you have to do is go to Saving Dinner and sign up for our newsletter. You always get the notes the very next morning. Number two is we need to learn how to set limits. So hurt feelings are usually the result of unheld boundaries. Hurt feelings are usually the result of unheld boundaries. So here's the deal. We say, no, 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 this cannot happen. And then it does. And then we kind of get steamed a little. And then it happens again. And then it happens again. And then there it goes. We get crazy. So if we call out when the boundary gets crossed the very first time and say, we talked about that. And you're crossing that boundary. So what I really need for you to do right now is, or what we need to do, and let's do this. When we start youing, remember, start pointing and youing, that puts the baby in the corner. And you know what happens? Baby doesn't do well in the corner. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do is manage our emotions well, and manage our emotions in a way that signals emotionally intelligent woman on board, right? That's what we want to do. So we set our limits, and yes, we understand that this hurt feeling stuff is usually the result of unheld boundaries. Amen. Number two is we need to learn to move approval inward. Now, hear me on this. This is so important. We have this outward dog and pony show. You know the one I'm talking about? Where we're performing and playing for everyone, so everybody's happy. It's at our own expense. But instead of doing that, instead of buttoning our lips, and instead of just making sure that no one's going to get upset with us, maybe what we need to do is to start bringing that approval inward by saying, because when you don't approve of something that you're doing, you know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? I do it. We all do it. I think this was part of our package growing up. Put on a pretty face, smile. I mean, this is part of it. So we need to stop doing that and show that instead we're in control of what's going on, and speak to that. Don't just perform. We also need to calm the inner critic who is forever discounting us and dismissing us and keeps us in this place of maintaining a low self-esteem. Because the inner critic is going to look and to say, well, what are you talking about? You don't, that's nothing. You should let that go. When you're saying, but there's stuff going on inside and you have this whole conflict inside, well, we need to calm that little inner critic down. Just say, you know what, you need to step aside and let me process this. Because that processing is not dismissive. That processing is the allowance of all of this emotional baggage and feelings that will help us to get to the place of really getting resolution. The biggie, however, is that, and this is the one that I want you to buckle up on because this is true. The biggie is that hurt feelings are often anger that has been silenced. Anger that's been silenced. Anger needs an outlet. We all get angry. I watched a video today of some woman who was calling a guy out on TikTok for road rage, and this guy was like spitting on her car and taking it, ruining her side mirror on her car. I mean, the whole bit, this guy was a total, D-bag. He really was. He was horrible. This man had no outlet except other drivers on the road. And that could lead to some very serious things. So we need to learn how to express our anger very constructively. And there are ways and outlets to do it. The first one is to analyze your hurt feelings. Remember, that analyze tool is so critical. Analyzing something instead of just going with the flow of all this emotional hoo-ha helps us to see what the heck is going on. It gives us a perspective. It causes us to draw back and to take a look. And I will tell you that when you analyze your hurt feelings, you sometimes find, is this the tip of the iceberg? Is this something more? How long have I been carrying this stuff around? And, you know, if you're hurt because, let's say, your spouse has decided, oh, I'm just going to go out and play poker with the guys or whatever, and he's super excited to go and do that, and you get mad about it. Is it because you're mad at him doing that, or are you because your feelings are hurt that he doesn't get that excited to take you out on date night? These are questions we need to ask ourselves so we can have a constructive conversation and we can get to a place of resolution. And number 2 is you got to woman up, girlfriend. Woman up. You know, here's the thing. If you can't say it, then write it. And if you can't write it, don't worry about how it all comes out. Just write down statements of things that are just really bothering you. And then take a look at them. Sit on it, sleep on it at night. Analyze that and take a look at all of that. And remember, if you need to, go back and do an edit. Instead of saying, you always, go back and say, I feel this way. Can we? Is it possible? Let's get together and do X. These are the kind of things that are constructive, that are looking toward the relationship instead of toward, how do I skewer this person, right? Number 3, blaming is shaming, so do not go there. There is never, ever anything appropriate about shaming a soul on this planet. Ever. We shame no one. You can express your hurt and allow for a conversation and make sure that it's blame-free, because there's room to get past the hurt, but not if you're blaming someone. Not if you're shaming them. Not if you're trying to put them in their place and put them down and make them feel less than. That is never the object. That's never the goal here. We have to get to the place of being able to lift the other one up, help them to see exactly what's going on, and see what you can do to work together. Now, I'm not talking about narcissists, of course. I mean, that's something completely, I will not ever talk about that. I'm not an expert on it, but I do know that there are constructive ways in which to have a conversation, and we can get past hurt feelings by using some really good tools like these ones. This is all from psychologists, by the way. This didn't come out of Leanne's massive brain. Number 4 is to take responsibility for your part. So this is a bit different than always taking it on. Oh, it's just me, blah, blah, blah. No. This is what's going on. What's my part in it? See how the difference in all of that is? That's critical. Because when you pull yourself out of that and you say, how did my actions play into this? Or did I say something, or did I neglect to say something? Then you can figure out how to go forward. And you can take responsibility in the conversation for the part that you did or did not do. And you can take responsibility for perhaps your actions. And that is a great starting place, by the way. And number 5, you can also ask, how can we fix this? Because when you pull the other person in and say, how can we fix this? You're not asking them to pull a rabbit out of their hat. You're not asking them to, do their magic. You're not expecting them to do anything to fix it. You're merely saying that this is a joint venture, this conversation, and that these hurt feelings that you're having, they need to be discussed. And this person that you're having the discussion with is probably one of the reasons why these hurt feelings exist in the first place. So that's how you deal with it. So what can make it better? Well, just say. Don't make them guess. If you apologize, that would make me feel better. There's nothing wrong with saying that. We don't have to be surprised like every day is Christmas, right? We can't sit there and wait for something to happen. We instead have to be responsible for saying what it is that we want. Maybe you want to sit down and maybe there's not an apology that's due. Maybe you just want to say, help me to figure this out. Let's look at this together. Can we talk it through? I will tell you what I know, that these are all tactics that come from a place of emotional intelligence and come from a place that says, hey, my feelings got hurt, but it's not the end of the world. I'm willing to take my part. I want to talk about all of it together. And I want our relationship to be central. I want our relationship to be better than it was. We're human beings. We make mistakes. You will always inadvertently end up hurting someone's feelings, and they will end up hurting yours. How do you deal with it? Well, here you go. Here's some clues. Here's some tips from psychologists who say this is how you do it in an emotionally intelligent way. I hope you found that helpful. I love this topic, by the way. It just really, helped me out a lot. I think we all need the help. Anyway, I appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. And tomorrow, we're off. This is to Thursday. We'll be back next Monday, Motivational Monday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Show up here. And if you're not following me on TikTok, which that's where everybody is, right, by the way, that's where all the new content is. So go to savingdinner.com or go to tiktok.com and put in at Saving Dinner. You'll find us. We're there. Peace be with you. I really appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me today. You can find me on TikTok for daily tips to help support your most vibrant life. And remember, you are the author of your own story. Until next time.